picking up from where we left off. We will clone ourselves and make many more of us, and the orators or aiders who will be ever so willing to help the light. I have been calling everyone home, come home. We're going to bypass these letters. One moment, please. Scrolling. Okay. This is not a lyric book, so I'll leave well enough alone. I have been calling everyone home. I have been telling everyone to pick up their cross. This is why X marks the spot. That cross is actually a secret sign or symbol of the pyramid. This can only be seen through the advanced degree of overstanding that causes whoever obtains that advanced degree to become an overseer, seeing this reality as the gods above see it. Those who are called the Illuminati or the Eye. From the bird's eye view, or the falcon, Horus, Jerus, Jesus, eye view, or the God's eye view, the pyramid is indeed the cross, which is the center of the the cross, with its center as the capstone, where the light fire streams from, as opposed to the capstone being perceptively on the top. Remember, the word pyramid means fire in the middle, center. That was a tree. The top of the pyramid is not the center point of the pyramid, per the observer who stands under the capstone. And this is because they only have an understanding, and per the observer who stands above that capstone, the top of the pyramid, that capstone is the center point of the pyramid. Therein tells the truth, the mystery of the pyramid. I just solved it for you. Only few will overstand it. That capstone has to be illuminated. That illumination will light the way to a new heaven. That heat that causes your heart to burst in flames will cause for a fire so pure that it will not only commence the healing and the cleansing and the purifying of your whole being, but it may also be the cause of a fire that commences the healing and the cleansing and purifying of your whole world outside of your being. Don't forget the science of utopia. I have broken it down and built it up for you before. Do you recall that it was written that the word would be destroyed? Do you recall that it was written that the world would be destroyed by fire? 2 Peter 3 verses 6 through 7 of the King James Version of the Bible. Quote, whereby the world that then was, being overflowed with water, perished. But the heavens and the earth, which are now by the same word, are kept in store, reserved unto fire against the day of judgment and perdition of ungodly men. End quote. This truth is the only way. This truth is the only truth. This way is the only life. God, heart, crown. El Lev Atara. Elevate. The message is clear. Whether they overstand it or not, human beings are on a natural course of destruction and eventually extinction. Due to their resounding arrogance, their shrieking pride, and their boiling ignorance, they are effectively bringing about their own judgment, albeit their guilty verdict was not an inevitable passage. It seems as though, through their aggressively charged actions, which are all collectively adhering dagger aimed at the divine forces far above their own control, they begged it to be. And thus it does appear to me that God, as nature, is and has been retorting loudly and clearly, so mote it be. The greenhouse effect, the landslide, the diverse places, earthquakes, the famines, the wars, the pestilence, the strange weather phenomena, the senseless murders, and so on and so on. Does not this world need to brace itself to meet divine? I will share with you a story about the long lost treasure. It's my favorite. Oh, heretofore there was a time of great wonder, and the wonder was about a long lost treasure, lands and seas away from a grand kingdom, whose name was Hamada. There is no place like Hamada that has ever been known to mankind, and cannot on your own imagine. You cannot on your own imagine Hamada, as I am forbidden to describe it to you. How I wish that I could. To even reveal this tale to you at all is surely a limit pushed. But I went forth and petitioned the Ureten. This is the most sacred name of the holy cedars, those who sit and they do watch from Miamas over the rest of the plains, that I be allowed to recount this story to you and for you. 9 Ureten have their positions in the holy seats, and they each are operable as one. The each of them operating as one granted me the right to express about these happenings. They forbade me to describe Hamada, although I really hoped to be able to bring to your mind all of its glories. Maybe if you could imagine, as a race of beings, just what Hamada is and all of its greatness, you would all then be able to see how far into the darkness your world has fallen. And wow, such an incredible woe indeed that does hover above a world that is fallen while its neighboring worlds stand yet. In that plain that is called Hamada, much like your own world or any world, there are mostly servants, many rulers, and few overseers. Hamada was on the verge as a plain of being what would be called in your world demoted. Sadly, I am not allowed to express all of the splendor of Hamada to you. However, I can say that the lack of a bridge between those who were the overseers, the rulers, and the servants had, at a time before this time, caused Hamada to begin to lose its splendor. The overseers had believed that this would happen to Hamada, being that it tended to happen to all of the worlds. There were even ages of darkness in that great Miamas brought about by raging wars amongst the Ureten. When the Ureten war, everyone in the universe, including those in your plane, will feel it. And it feels like a shift in time. Have you ever had to wonder to yourself, where did the time go? There have probably been many times that you have experienced the same phenomenon, and if you were in the mind to count all of the times this occurred in your lifetime, it would only be able to account for your lifetime's worth. There have probably been many times that you have experienced the same phenomenon, and if you were in the mind to count all of the times this occurred in your lifetime, you would only be able to account for your lifetime's worth of the Ureten wars. Surely you are not nearly capable of fathoming the amount of times they who occupy the holy seats have warred. They, the Ureten, have indeed always provided a way for all who fall to find their way back to proper standing. This is the way that we can know that there has never been a race of beings that has been removed from their place in the plains that did not themselves decide that it was their time to be banished. Did they understand that it was their actions that spoke and the universe did listen? When the universe listens, she listens to hear clearly and will not misquote a word. Never will she dare. Order, as we know it to be, is maintained only because she listens to hear clearly what the living beings have to speak, and she does not repeat one word or another, but by the most verbatim tone. The tone spoken by the words spoken by the living beings out of their mouths have no bearing at all in the presence of the universe, except the words that align with the truest heart and the truest mind. And who can speak and she not hear? Who can think a thought that she can't read? It is more favorable for the living being to learn to speak the language of the elite, that they might understand the signs of the universe. As even as she listens to hear clearly, she does not stumble over her words. It is much more favorable for the living being to listen to her and to hear her clearly. She is always speaking. When the people, the living beings of Hamada, fell into the depths of vanity, hatred, envy, jealousy, pride, iniquity, these fallings led to booming wars abroad. It was sad to behold that wonderful plain, that plain called Hamada, losing its glow. I did hear the sorrowful wails of Hamada, like weapons likened unto what are called in the earth plane nukes and or bombs plunged. It was sad to behold that wonderful plain, that plain called Hamada, losing its glow. I did hear the sorrowful wails of Hamada as weapons likened unto what are called in the earth plane nukes and or bombs plunged into the hearts of the major cities, and it is surely forbidden for me to describe the cities, but if you were able to picture them, you would cry enough tears to shower with for a year's time, knowing that they had all been destroyed. The young, the middle-aged, and the elders alike were burned alive by the immense waves of screaming fire. This was true for the many of them. Take 100% and remove 95%. This is a fair mathematical representation of how many of the living beings of Hamada were perished in that day, and Hamada did wail. I heard it. The Uriten did not cry. The Uriten do not cry. I do not feel that the holy seat holders are allowed to waste a drop of water on an emotional response. For if one of their tears were to crash and splash against the floors of the heavens, surely the plains of the universe would be flooded, even unto intergalactic extinction. Bless their inability to experience a moment of agony. Bless their inability to experience a moment of agony in the way that the living beings of the plains experience. It is true that each race of beings has been given their own proportional share of emotion. No race of beings have the frame nor the tame to possess emotion in its entirety, and so the Uriten, in those first moments of the project, which is what the creation of the plains is called, came together, and with swords of electricity they split emotion into several parts, spreading them across the universe. Even in your world, reader, the woman and the man hold two different portions of emotion. You may not be able to understand this, but I wish that you could. Your being able to put into words what you feel as a man or what you feel as a woman does nothing for the matter of comprehension of the emotional split. Your origins, the both of your creations, are an off-plane happening. I do mean that you, the human beings, as who and what you are, who and what you think you are, were created in a realm beyond the planes, just beneath Miamas. The women were indeed created with a grander portion of emotion than the men, and they, men and women, were originally sent to two separate planes. You call one Venus, you call the other Mars. Now here you are, and why have you been at war? The portions you have when you come together will heal the plane you are in. I feel that is a talk for another day, but it is ever so important that you all understand that. I hope that you will soon. Well, I did cry at the sight of the fallen Hamada, and I cried for all of the Ureten because of their inability to cry. And I saw the gathering of the 5% who remained many servants and was left 2 overseers. They knew the whole that the long lost treasure had to be retrieved, and who was worthy of retrieving it? It might deserve another title, the treasure, for it was not lost. It was taken by the Ureten and placed many lands and many seas away from Hamada. Oh, every plane has a treasure of redemption. Few of the living beings go on to produce one worthy of the retrieving of the treasure. How, then, could they ever be redeemed? And so, the overseer, who was an elder man called Mikatsum, and I am not allowed to describe him to you, sat upon the throne and spoke to the servants, and there were among the servants soldiers and teachers and builders and priests and scientists. He asked the lot of them the question of all importance: who among you deems himself worthy of retrieving the long-lost treasure? There was a striking silence that bullied through the small crowd of weary servants. No one spoke for a time of about half an hour. Silence. At once, there were 2 who stepped forward, and they were called Yera and Mej. The overseer stood up and stepped forward to inspect them closely. They both stood calmly and quietly. No one in the crowd let a sound escape their mouths. It would have been a sign of disrespect to even allow for an audible breath, let alone a sneeze. A hiccup that was not restrained would have been means for expulsion. For if not summoned, you were to remain silent before the overseers. A woman, her name was Ta'am, sat and watched from the shadows, and I am forbidden to describe her to you. The only sounds that could be heard in those moments were the slight crackings of the ground beneath the feet of the pacing overseer, called Mikatsum. There was one amongst the 2 who emerged, who began to overrun. There was one amongst the 2 who emerged, who began to overrun with excitement, and his pride did cause him to smirk. His smirk was loud, and the stretching of his lips and cheeks startled Mikatsum. He stopped in front of the one who smirked, Yera. He stared into his eyes and went on to speak. Are these 2 the only worthy living beings among you all? His voice shifted the clouds above them like a solved puzzle torn apart and tossed about in every direction. There was a silence that erupted for an hour's time. Finally, there was a sound, but this sound was an error on the part of Yera as he scoffed slightly. In a room of normal, everyday ambiance, a scoff is almost impossible to hear. On that day, it would have been compared to the sound of a shotgun. My bad. In Hamada, any disrespect to an overseer was worthy of death. The family of Yara dropped their heads, as they knew that their loved one's head might roll, and they wished to at least avoid the splatter of his blood upon their faces. The shadow dials. The shadow dials, who were the punishers of Hamada, manifested quickly. One wave of the hand of Mikatsum, and they froze in time. The crowd was confused. Why was Yara still alive? Mikatsum lowered his hand and looked into the brain of Yara. He smiled. Overseers do not smile. What a strange day. No one could understand what was happening. What is your tone? Exploded Mikatsum. Yara gave his name in full, and I am not allowed to speak it, for it is true that his family was pardoned, and there was a name that he shared with all of his bloodline. Bless them. Mikatsum took his gaze away from the brain of Yara and placed it softly upon the eyes of Mej. What is your tone? Mej spoke for the first time that day. I am Mej Retne. I am Mej Retne. The overseer did not smile. No one knew why, and it is a mystery to this day. He instead retired back to his throne. After he was seated, he began to recite the affirmation, and on cue, the crowd joined in, as did Yera, Mej, and Ta'am. Surely, I cannot utter the tones of the old sacred affirmation. I can only speak what I have permission to speak. The affirmation was recited. The silence made its return, and no introduction necessary, as all who were present knew it personally. There was another time of pure quiet, 1 hour and 30 minutes in length. Mikatsum finally spoke and explained that the journey was very dangerous and that it was possible that whoever went on to attempt the retrieval would be exposed to the possibility of death. Some in the crowd had no faith and had already started to cry inside. They did not believe it possible to retrieve the long-lost treasure. They had heard of the harshness of the journey from the elders who had been briefed by travelers near and far. One is not able to take on this task as their own without first taking a significant deal of a time to prepare oneself. You will both be required to test, and at the end of your test, a motion will be passed, and it will be decided about the worthy one. These were the words of Mikatsum, the overseer, that seemed to irritate the one who smirked Yera. He spoke loudly, interrupting what would have otherwise been another moment of silence, perhaps 2 hours of quiet. I am the worthy one. He clenched his fist. He shamed his family. Bless them. There is no living being in all of the plains who was more worthy than I am. I will go and retrieve the long-lost treasure. It was right then that a swarm of fear echoed throughout the crowd of servants. They had never witnessed what was happening. Would they too be punished for these unlawful outbursts? The shadow dials shook with anger, still frozen in time. Why had Mikatsum not released them? They were very hungry for justice. They were bred for no other reason from jinn and crocodiles, and yes, I am allowed to tell you that. There were beings called crocodiles in Hamada, but I am not allowed to describe them for you. You are welcome to imagine, and I can say you might do well to at least imagine, because of the fact that you have similar beings here, and what a coincidence their name in this plane. Yera stood firmly against the ground, fist balled up in a fresh fit of rage, clenching his teeth and staring so intensely at the overseer that the crowd began to question his rank. No servant could have managed to even think of challenging the overseers. Still, Mikatsum showed no sign of displacement. He informed further, "There is a map that one of the both of you must prove worthy of receiving, and on that map will appear an X. The X will mark the spot of the long lost. Give me the map, and I will be on my way. The treasure will be found, for this is very same purpose was I conceived." Speak no more of tests. Can't you see that I have no fear? Say, what is an overseer without sight? Blasted. When he asked this, he raised his hands as if awaiting an embrace. Mikatsum blinked. The wind of his lashes surfed the crowd. No one breathed. The overseer stood and looked into the shadows at Ta'am. The two of them appeared silent, but everyone was aware that the overseers were telepathic beings and that they needed not be verbal to communicate with one another. The overseers had a short talk, and with the nod of Ta'am from the shadows came a motion. It has been decided. This living being, who is called in tone Yara, is the worthy one. Prepare the package. He will set out and ride forth on the new day, and I will be at the gates to see him off. Indeed, I will, for what is an overseer without sight? And it was so. Yara stepped forward to receive the map. Yara stood tall in front of the people of the crowd and thrust the map upward like a captured flag for all to see. This would have been thought to be a celebratory moment. It did not appear to be. No one made a sound. No one noticed that Mej had disappeared back into the crowd, as he did so respectfully and silently. Mikatsum and Ta'am stepped back through the great door to their place of reign, and eventually there only stood Yara in that place, and he stood there, proud to have received the legendary map. He had only dreamed of this very moment his entire life, except there were no cheers. He tried not to notice. In the new day, as he, Yara, was standing at the gates, awaiting the arrival of Mikatsum, he stretched, doing yoga and mediated. Okay. Mikatsum snuck up on Yara and stood behind him. There must have passed about 10 minutes, and Mikatsum was undetected to say the least. "Worthy one!" Mikatsum screamed from behind Yara, whose heart did skip a few beats as he was startled apart. "Whoa! It's only you! You scared me." Panted Yara. "Could an overseer with no sight really sneak up on you and scare you?" Mikatsum replied. Yara remained quiet. Mej arrived shortly after Mikatsum. "What is he doing here?" Yara asked Mikatsum with a piercing frown. Mej did not speak. Mikatsum spoke on his behalf. "He has asked to accompany me in my seeing you off." I agreed. "Safe travels to you. Are there any questions about the map or your journey ahead?" "None. I am ready." "Then off you go. We will be waiting for your return. May the Ureten travel alongside you." And with that, he was off. He began his travels alone to go and retrieve the long-lost treasure. Mej spoke aloud for the first time. "What say you of the reality of his return?" Mikatsum explained to Mej that there would be no such return, for Yara had received the map, truly so, but he had began his travels in the road direction. As he was holding the map upside down, Even if by chance he was to get lost and happen upon the proper direction, he still did not know how to read the writing on the top of the map. He will be asked, said Mikatsum, by the guardians to explain what it says in order to pass through the gates that lead to the treasure. He will not be able to speak the words. He should have been cautious enough to ask more about the map and his travels ahead, but he was not, and so he did not. May the Ureten protect him, though it is unlikely that they will even peek at the tiny speck that he is as he wanders the path of no return, not because it is impossible to retrieve the treasure and make it back to Hamada safely, but because he is of the ones lost. Mikatsum continued, "Oh, his face is the face of many, and your face is the face of few. Many are lost, filled with pride and arrogance, and we have fallen, Hamada, because of this." He turned to Mej and handed him a rolled-up piece of paper, a scroll. "Open it," ordered the overseer. Mej opened the scroll and was revealed a map. Mej's eyes shot open. I don't overstand, he questioned. "This is the map that will lead you to the long-lost treasure. Go east." He, Yera, traveled west. Avoid the red waters and their alluring delicacies. If you're to survive, only eat the green and blue fruits. Rest under the trees with purple leaves and drink only from the white waters. The writing on the top says Wahid. The guardian will ask you to explain what is meant by Wahid. Say to the guardian, 1. Hamada was redeemed in those days as Mej did prove worthy and did complete the task of the retrieval of the long-lost treasure. How I wish I could tell you about the renewed Hamada, but it is forbidden to describe it for you in any way. I only hope that you are a people like Mej and not a people like Yera. Which are you? Do you know the way? Ignorance is bliss. I know this to be true, as may you. But do you know that intelligence is sorrow? To whom much is given, much is required. Make not the mistake of stepping forth without reason. Never stop asking. Ask until the end. This is the way you will elevate or ascend. Ascend, ask, end. Ask until the end. You are centered, and you now are able to stand in the center. Your eye must now prepare to open, and you have to be able to center the self in order to assess or access the truest lights. Do not forget these lights. Do not forget these keys, as the keys I give you will provide you with the proper data. And when you can see, you can finally enter into the kingdom of God. You go through the center. X marks the spot. Look at the letter X, and you will see that there are 4 arrows, each pointing to the center. You were to meet me at the crossroads, where we would all stand together on that mountaintop, so you wouldn't be lonely. Think of the song and music video performed by Bone Thugs and Harmony, the rap music group of old. Meet me at the crossroads. Anyway, notice that the people who are taking that walk up the mountain are in their all-white garb, just as the 144,000 were said to be required to be garbed in, as the all-white garment or raiment is symbolic of purity. It is the same color as the angels appear in. It is the same color that the holy city appeared to John in the book of Revelation, chapter 21, verse 2. Okay. Revelation chapter 1, verse 2. And I quote. Okay. And I, John. Verse 2. I said that.
21.
I said that.
Revelation 21.
I said that.
You said Revelation chapter 1, verse 2. Revelation chapter 21, verse 2.
Okay.
And I,
John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from God out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. Revelation chapter 21, verse 2. Okay. That holy city has also been called Planet X. Another name for it is called Nibiru and means transitional point or crossing, as in the crossroad. Here is a code breaker. Flip the word Nibiru around and you end up with the word Urabin, which is to say Uri or Ori or Or, light, and Bin or Ben, sun. That light is likened unto the sun, that golden disk, and the sun word is to say a child of someone. And so this would be saying the child of the sun, or the child of the golden one, or the golden child. There was a movie that came out in 1986 entitled The Golden Child. In the movie, the dark forces were trying to eliminate the chosen one. They imprisoned him and tried to kill him by causing him to eat a bowl of oatmeal with blood in it. They also had to place him in the middle of an X, surrounded on all four corners with evil to try and confine him. This is the same thing they did to Dr. Malachi Z. York. They did not succeed in the film. They will not succeed in real life. They will not succeed in real life. Period. There is no stopping us now. We are on the move. We are polishing up our act and moving together, finally. Welcome aboard, reader. You are who we have been waiting for so long. You are not by yourself. On April 4th of 2024, we will have all gathered together to tune as one a harmonic convergence. This will be right on cue with the planetary alignment of Venus, Neptune, Saturn, and Mars. And it will occur right before the total solar eclipse of April 8th, 2024, where it is clear that the X is very significant and the paths of totality from the previous eclipse from 2017 and the eclipse of 2024 overlap and form an X. You cannot think this is to be an accident. The X lands directly at the base of Illinois, and this word does mean best people.
When you see like did or does, it's like putting emphasis. It's how the scriptures was written. Like they say, and he did go, or and we did make, or the Lord God did or had made. It's like emphasis on what we're saying. So we say like the X lands directly at the base of Illinois, and this word does mean best people. The emphasis is on does. So basically saying, specifically pay attention to what we're saying for that. Like if he did go, that means that there's something significant about him going. If we did make, there's a significant gem we're trying to show you when we say make. You know what I'm saying? So this word does mean best people. The X lands directly at the base of Illinois. And this word does mean best people.
Another way of saying elect. Eli or Eli means right there in that place. Did I not remind you that X marks the spot? All you elects who are in attendance, here is your task, or you will hear of it. We will all stands outside, no matter where we are, at 7:04 in the a.m., and we will sing the first sound of the three-part harmony, Aum, the sound of the newborn, Ah. We will do this all together, and we walk through the gate of 7 plus 4 equaling 11. Remember that 11 is a gate. From 7:04 to 7:11, we will produce the sound of Ah, all together, envisioning a world full of green light. At 7:11, this will be done in the AM. We will all prostrate. We will place our foreheads on the ground. And I say to you, you are to stay there as long as you can or as long as you feel the need to, and that the work will be done. Don't let anyone say that we cannot change this world together. Very true. I tell you, we have already changed the world. The music is changing. People are starting to realize who Phase 1 is and what he has come to do, which is bring order and remind people about the true light. And yes, the truest lights. I had a conversation with the young brother who is not much younger than I am, as he is 19 years old, and I write these words at age 25. He is a rap artist called Anti-The Menace. I stepped forth and called him out in his comments on Instagram after coming across his music, and the message was murderous. He ended up reaching out to me via Instagram DM, and we had a phone call about the matter. He explained that his OG had put him on to my music and that he understood what I was saying and that he gets it. I told him I would pardon him for a time, as to say he was reprieved if you overstand. I asked him to remember about that conversation and that I would be watching. I asked him to give the world a song that was not destructive in nature. It was clear to me that his soul could hear me. We will see if he will be able to turn around. He should turn around while he can. Maybe he will, maybe he won't. He is still a big artist in Atlanta, which is Atlantis. The devils will rush to use him up and exploit his amber light, as they are desperate at this point because they hear loud and clear the voice of God. And it is coming from Phase 1 of Atlantis. Again, we will see. Don't we always see? Send a green light to this young brother. It is clear to me that Shaitan has grabbed his soul. We call him home. He is a warrior. I have the power and the authority to reform and to redeem. Imagine what happens when we are able to align these soldiers with a righteous cause. Nothing is impossible. Either way, everyone must come home. It is that time to prepare to speed up your molecular structure to the point of evaporation. Yes, this is an Eve operation, as Eve does mean living. Bringing someone from the solid state of the materialistic being to the gaseous or Jesus or etheric state of the godly being is a living work. Is it not the same work of God from the beginning? Indeed it is. Pay attention to your son and how they are marking X's over it. Be one with the sun, children of the sun, children of the light. Be ready for activation of the blue light, which will be called the True Blue Movement or Project Bluebeam, which will be called the blue light activation will come in with the sun on June 20th of 2024. Behold, new blue sun, purity, divine truth. Who are the 144,000? Are you of the chosen ones? You are the elect. You are the precedent, and precedents. It does not matter if they put Trump back in office or if they put Robert Kennedy Jr. in office. This is your world. Elect yourself. It is only time you are in the 9th hour. I say to be ready, yet I know that you are ready. We are ready. Until we speak again, reader, I love you. Phase 1. Peace in the Lamb is truly wonderful. Sadaqallahu Azim. That's it. That was X Marks the Spot by Phase 1, which you can get if you don't already have it by sending a donation to the Cash App of any amount. Play for change, and you will receive all 11 books unless you specify in that note which ones you're missing. If you already sent a donation, speaking is Mrs. Faise. You can DM me, and we'll get you right and solve whatever issues you've been experiencing. But we will make sure that everyone gets these books. But like I said, this has been the X Marks the Spot, the 11th book, and I hope you enjoyed this reading.
That's all I have. The 12th one, I'm thinking May 1st for the 12th book. So a lot of people ask me, when's that one coming? You already know I've been working on it. So I'm thinking by May, we'll have the 12th book. As y'all know, from all of the the screaming and the raising my voice and the class after class after class, it caught up to me a little bit. So I was going through a heavy voice strain, but I already know why it happened. You know what I mean? Because it allowed, again, for me to be able to look at this round and see what happens when I'm not able to really speak, or when I'm not able to talk on certain things and reveal certain things. It get real quiet. And I also noticed when my voice needed to rest, I didn't hear much of any noise when it comes to Dr. Malachi York. And I think that's one of the things that they showed me. So I asked my brother to make me some tea recently, maybe yesterday, and he brought me a cup. And the cup said, literally, it's in front of me, right? It said, don't speak yet. Right? You probably can see that. The cup literally said, don't speak yet. Right? I don't even be in the kitchen and shit like that. So this wasn't no shit I put together. It was like, let me time this perfectly. No, he brought me a cup with some tea in it, and it said, don't speak yet. They're listening, though. And there are a lot of different things going on. There's a lot of new developments. But like I said, I've been resting my voice. I got a visit by one of the Orisha who I didn't know her particular name before she came to me. She brought me into one of the astral parts or astral planes. And she told me her name. And she told me that the Loa, she was going to have some Loa come and be with me to oversee and help me with some things. And she said, I don't know if we got to bring you over to E5 for a little bit. She said, but we're going to help you. She said, you're responsible for not only, she didn't just say the word she said was conduction, right? Is that a word? I don't know if it's a word, but it's the word she said. She said, you're responsible for the conduction of this entire planet. And she held both of her palms up in front of her toward the ceiling, and she was saying, praise God. She kept saying, praise God. It's a light-skinned lady, black lady, as y'all call it, a melanin-dominant woman. And she kept saying, praise God. And she said, I was the reason Pops got out. She said, you the reason he's out. Now, again, I can't confirm nor deny whether Pops is still behind them walls. The last point of reference was a sister named Tyba Jack. And I told y'all what happened with that. And something just happened with her and Uma. I guess Uma saying one thing, Tyba Jack saying another. And I'm just looking at the whole thing like, here's my holler. And I shouldn't be saying holler right now. But here go my holler. My holler is anybody who we were supposed to help, we should have just fucking helped them. And everybody wanted to be the one. I was listening to what Pops was saying. He said, everybody trying to be the one that's going to get them out. And while everybody arguing and bickering and fighting with each other, he said, I'm being tortured. And it don't seem like she was able to hear that he was saying that. He said, I hear you saying I, but you don't want to go through I. But he ain't speaking from I. It should just sound exactly what I be saying. I'm not speaking from no I. I'm speaking from we. But everybody be, what I do, this I, this, that. It's the selfish nature that damped the whole project from the beginning. It didn't have to go this way. We didn't mess this up. You understand? Pop's movement works. Y'all didn't want to work. You feel me? It's like it was nothing by y'all. They know who I'm talking to. They didn't want to work. And a lot of people don't want them out. Most people don't want them out, if anybody does. Because when that much truth is out in the open, you're held accountable. People don't want to be held accountable. They like living in the world. You understand? And not having to make a decision because it's not in front of them. You feel me? So go listen to the Dr. York teaching on YouTube. We have our own time. And I know y'all miss my voice. I miss my voice, right? But I want you to pay attention to moving in the earth plane as I haven't been speaking as much, okay? Pay attention to what's been happening. Pay attention to what people are saying. And pay attention to how quiet it got about the master teacher, okay? Who was the last and only hope to that rope. And people acted as if he was somebody to disregard. Okay, look at how quiet it got. You know, it's not disheartening. It's not disappointing. It's just something that I'm paying attention to. And I tell you to pay attention to the same thing. My voice will be back up and running within the next week. And you know I'm going to be in the booth, in the studio. I got songs to come. All right. It would have been in motion probably earlier on, but I wasn't able to rest. I haven't really been able to rest. There's always something. They throw so many things at me at one time through different events. I wasn't really able to rest. And mentally, I couldn't rest. So that's another thing. Your body not able to rest mentally, physically. You know what I mean? So it's like you fight in all these different wars. But, yeah, just keep paying attention. That's all it is. Keep paying attention. Keep watching. And I'm charging up. Is not over, right? We got another conversions coming. We got 2 more coming, all right? And I'm gonna show y'all how to go and which way to walk. And in the meantime, green time, you listen, all right? You keep watching and paying attention. And don't be fooled by anybody. I'm telling you, these are the days where you really want to be open to receive. Right now, as I'm speaking to you, the wind been blowing since we've been reading. Knocking trees down and everything outside, right? And the lady who came to me, the Orisha who came to me, that's Shango's sister. You feel what I'm saying? And Shango is one of the ones, right? And you heard me mention stuff like that in my music. Where I'm talking about that thunderbolt, all right? That storm, the thunder, the wind. God speaks through the wind. Okay, Shango's sister came to me. One of the ones who, her nature is elusive. They don't even really know much about her. She came directly to me and gave me her name. I never knew her name. And I've studied Yoruba, Ifa, all of that. And I didn't know anything about her. Why? I have no idea. But she came to me and told me her name. All right? So if you want to know the name, I'm not saying the name. I'm telling you how to go find it. You feel what I'm saying? Never forget to be searchers and seekers. All right? Don't expect everything to land on the plate. Always be prepared to go out and plant and go out and grow. All right? And go out and receive. Always be prepared for that. That's when it comes to everything. You with me? But she told me, she said, you're responsible for the conduction of this whole planet. You did this. Look at what you did. She was like, praise God. And I didn't speak. I didn't say anything. I just listened to her. And she said she was sending Lois to help me. She said, I don't know if we got to bring you to Ifa. Like, and she wasn't saying like for me to become Ifa. She was saying for me to like be over there for a while so that they could, give me what they need to give me. But she said, we got you. We're going to help you. Right? And I know they watching because I feel them. They see. That's why I be telling people I ain't even got active really. You feel what I'm saying? And people know I ain't got active. I'm just watching people about to cut their own throat, cut their own hands and feet off. Don't even realize what they doing. And for the Loa to be sent to help you, anybody that even lift a finger gonna be in so much trouble. And it's already been like that. So for them beings to be introduced on my behalf, that, listen, again, I don't bother the Orisha. Y'all have heard me say it. I don't even petition them. For them to summon me and to speak to me, the works that I'm doing, which we're doing, okay, because I'm doing it, those works have reached the heavens. Those works have reached other planes, and we got their attention. Just like I said, right? You just heard the book we read to you, X marks the spot. In the book, I talk about a bridge. Okay? I even used the word break and bridge. Okay? I talked about the key. The key bridge fell. We came on here and spoke about it briefly. All right? We did the harmonic convergence. The very next day, there was an earthquake, 4.8 earthquake, all right, in New York, in New Jersey. Would anybody have been able to break down that we did the harmonic convergence? No, because they don't know. They're not paying attention. But we did the harmonic convergence. But if they walking with us, or if they walking in the green light, then they know what's going on, right? So anybody who went outside and activated that A, okay, you know what's going on. Anybody who knows that U was coming, and if you've been listening to the teachings, you know what the U represents. You know what's going on. Others don't. So keep listening, all right? In these days where I'm not able to speak to you as often because I'm healing my voice, go and listen to the teachings. Go listen to the old teachings, all right? Go listen to the young elder classes, all right? You may not have seen, we did so many classes back to back, all right? I put out so much information in such a short period of time. You go back and listen to those classes. Nobody's out here teaching like that. Y'all know it like anybody else knows it. There's nobody teaching like that. Being able to fluently just break it. You don't know a single person out here teaching like that. You understand? So that's probably why people were getting used to it. Don't take it for granted. Go back and listen to those classes. You understand? And watch and see how much of what I was talking about is coming to the forefront. On the dot, you escape. If you can't find it, you can't get out. Let me tell you another thing they're doing. They're limiting my lives now. All right, they penalized me for posting a video with the guy fighting all the white guys. They said I was bullying when everybody and their mama posted that video, including celebrities. So they penalized my account. So now I can't go live for the hours that we would go live. But y'all know what's going on. Y'all know what all this is about. Okay, when I speak and when I say things and put my voice out there, anybody who's paying attention knows that when I speak, the realm changes. It shifts on account of my voice. They know that. And the longer I speak and the more I'm able to talk, the more things are changing. All right, yeah, they took my subscriptions away too. They took my badges, subscriptions, lengthy lives, all of that. But we're not worried, okay? I just told you what to do. I love y'all, all right? We're working on May 1st for the book. It's called Nothing Versus Everything. All right. Don't even see this as a setback. It just gives you more time to look at this realm from a different vantage point. And don't worry, I victor, however this goes, even if I disappear when they try to come for me. OK, if I ever disappear, know that that's why I did it. They were trying to destroy me and I didn't let it happen. All right. I made it home. OK, I love y'all. Peace in the Lamb is truly wonderful. I do.